Get out of here, Ada. Shoo. You start the Instagram live. Ganyan. All right, here we are again for Mosquito Bites Live, take number 3 this morning. Thank you for bearing with us. This is Mosquito Bites Live, episode 3, as part of California Mosquito Awareness Week. We've had some great conversations earlier this week with Pasco County on Monday. We spoke with Pasco County about California Mosquito Week and Florida Mosquito Week. Very exciting week, a lot of a buzz going around, as you've seen Ada already here joining me and biting me. And it's also Earth Day, so happy Earth Day as we celebrate all the great natural resources we have here on planet Earth. We have our great guest today, Shasta County, who should be joining us in just a few minutes. Hopefully we have our technical issues all straightened out. And I also want to give a shout out to Greater Los Angeles Mosquito and Vector Control District on the release of their music video, Tip Toss Boss. So be sure to head over to their page and watch their music video. So again, today I am speaking with Shasta County. If you guys can tune in, let me give you guys a ring and see. So again, we're going live with Shasta County. And we'll be speaking about mosquito sources and Earth Day today. All right, I see you there, Shasta. Let me see if I can get you guys on board here. Perfect. All right, send you. So Shasta, looks like we should be getting together here in just a few minutes. Again, happy Earth Day, happy California Mosquito Awareness Week. And this is episode 3 as part of Mosquito Bites Live. Hey, John, how are you?
Fine.
Good. So happy we're finally able to join us. I think it's all our mosquitoes over here that have been creating a lot of havoc behind the scenes.
Yeah. We have our mosquito problems up here too, as well. Yeah.
Well, John, do you want to go ahead and give us a brief intro in regards to who you are and your district up in Northern California?
Well, certainly. My name's John Albright. I'm the vector ecologist at Shasta Mosquito and Vector Control District. And I'm going into my 25th year being here. And we're clear at the opposite end of the state. We're the northernmost district within the state of California. We're centered out of Anderson, California, which is just right by Redding up in Shasta County. And we've been around since 1919, which makes us one of the oldest districts in the state. We were formed, one of the first districts, like I said, in the state. We were formed in response to endemic malaria in this area. This was actually around the beginning, the early 1900s. This is one of the worst areas in the United States for malaria. And so a lot of the first districts were actually formed in response to pest mosquitoes lowering property values, and we're really one of the first districts within California that was actually formed to prevent disease. So,
wow, lots of great information in regards to Shasta. I'm so happy to have you guys on board with us. I think it's a great to show Northern and Southern California vector control districts and what we do, and also how things differ. So like I mentioned earlier, we're talking about mosquito sources today is our main topic. And I know we have some special guests. I already had my guest over here, Ada Ease, and I know you have one back there with you.
Yeah, I do. You need to come over this way a little bit. Yeah, I've got Misty with me. Misty's been here since, she's been working for the district since 2017 about, so she's almost into 4 years here. And, when I'm talking to classrooms and so forth, and just to the public in general, one of the questions I'm asked a lot is how long do mosquitoes live? And well, 4 years is probably a little bit extreme, but yeah. And she is an adult, but she's not exactly mature.
And what mosquito species is Missy?
Well, I don't know. She's sort of unusual. She has characteristics of several different species. We've had a little bit of difficulty pinning down exactly what she is. One of the characteristics that distinguishes her from other mosquito species is that she's totally vegetarian. Most mosquitoes for their food for their energy food. Basic maintenance. They feed on nectar and that sort of thing. But Missy does that exclusively. She's never been terribly fond of the things that make normal mosquitoes pesky. So she's not that bad to have around here. I don't have to worry about getting stabbed in the back, as it were, with her back there. So,
well, I do with Ada over here. So Ada Ease is an Aedes aegypti mosquito, and she was newly unveiled as part of our district last year as part of National Mosquito Awareness Week. As you can see on her side, she is a blood-fed mosquito, meaning that she does look for blood meals, unlike Missy on your end. And we use Ada as a character to represent the established Aedes mosquitoes here in Southern California. We had our previous Mother Ada, which was her mosquito before her, and Mother Ada was more of the invasive mosquitoes that were coming here that were barely establishing. Now Ada is more the established, very LA mosquito. And unfortunately, with how easy they're able to lay their eggs, Aedes mosquitoes can spread rapidly. And we're definitely starting to see that a lot more Aedes mosquitoes all over California, even in northern parts.
Yes, as a matter of fact, to pivot off of that, we actually found Aedes aegypti within our district this past summer. It's the northernmost find of Aedes aegypti in California, and Aedes albopictus.
Right.
Her close buddy. So So we're dealing with that now. As far as we know, they aren't established yet, but they wreak a lot of havoc, and they really upset our operations here. We're a little bit worried because we found them scattered kind of widely throughout the town of Redding, and it may be worse than we think. So we'll find out this year, I think.
Well, right on that topic, Aedes mosquitoes spread because of stagnant water and the eggs that they lay in. What type of sources, or what should we look for in order to help prevent Aedes mosquitoes or mosquitoes like Missy getting out there and potentially spreading diseases?
Well, you want to be thinking that the mosquitoes you should be most concerned about are the mosquitoes that are going to bite you, right? And that's going to happen right in your yard. So there's a great deal of personal responsibility on the part of the public that needs to take place in order to help prevent mosquitoes from being a problem within the district. And historically, we haven't been a district that goes from house to house and goes through people's yards and things to look for mosquito problems. But within invasive Aedes, that tends to be more of a problem because they're what they call paradomestic mosquitoes. They like to live around people, and they appreciate the little bits of clutter and things that we leave around the yard that collect water. And in particular, we found them in the little dishes that you find under potted plants that people use in their yard to hold water. Very tiny amounts of water can breed these kinds of mosquitoes in great numbers. So that's the thing, is dumping and draining.
Exactly. And you touched on a very good point there, especially Aedes mosquitoes. I had this conversation with Levy yesterday on our Instagram Live, is that a lot of people tend to think mosquitoes want big pools and lakes and big areas like that. But the majority of the sources that we do find are, like you mentioned, plant saucers, or even something as small as a bottle cap is enough to breed mosquitoes. And that's all they need, is just the amount of stagnant water there. They're going to find it and they're going to lay their eggs. And within as short as 7 days, we're going to have mosquitoes just like Ada and Missy there flying around. So that's so important, is to eliminate any of that stagnant water that we see. And like you mentioned, especially around our yards, because that's where us as vector control have the hardest time getting to. And residents, if we all work together, we can eliminate those types of sources around our community.
One of the things that up here in Northern California, I don't know that it's so much of a problem where you are, but it's a big problem right now. One of our local mosquitoes here is called the Western treehole mosquito.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and right now is the peak season for them up here in the Redding area. And this is another one of those, it's another 80s mosquitoes, and another one that comes out of tiny little sources in people's yards. And we'll often get calls from people that they're being eaten up in their yard. They can't go out in the evening to barbecue because these will just run them out of the yard. And they'll talk about that that pond, that stagnant pond down the block or something.
Right. When
the problem is really the rot holes in the oak trees that collect rainwater over the winter, and those mosquitoes hatch out now. Again, this is another one of those household things that this is all about keeping your yard, being attentive to the health of your trees and that sort of thing, and trimming out any wood that might rot and create those kinds of sources for mosquitoes.
Definitely, and that's such a good point to mention. Like you said, yeah, Northern California, you guys are dealing with different species that we don't deal with here in Southern California, but the main message there is stagnant water. Every mosquito is looking and needing stagnant water in order to develop. And again, I'm speaking with John here today on Mosquito Bites Live. John is joining us from Shasta County up in Northern California. And we're talking about mosquito sources and what mosquitoes need in order to breed, and what we can do to eliminate stagnant water around our yards. And again, like I mentioned, today is Earth Day, which I think is a great topic that is perfect to connect with mosquito control. Preventing a lot of these mosquito sources does include cleaning up our yards, removing any of that small clutter. That is helping the earth and removing any of that unnecessary items in our yard. And it also includes planting more California native plants. Do you want to talk a little bit about California native plants, and if there's any, what would you think is the biggest misconception about California native plants?
I think probably the biggest misconception about California native plants is that they're plain ugly and uninteresting, and that's not true at all. And one of the things about it is you find if you're putting in your typical landscape, you go out there and the first thing you do is lay down irrigation pipes all over the place. You're going to have to add water for the typical things that people put in their yards. The plants that aren't from around here aren't adapted to this climate. So you've got to alter the climate in your yard to adapt to them, to the plants, and you save yourself a lot of trouble if you take a little bit of effort to research native plants in your area. A lot of them are really quite spectacular and look pretty cool in the yard. And like around here, we have some trees, and when you see them in bloom, or even just as shrubs out in the wild, they're pretty spectacular looking things like manzanita that's out there. Buckeye has spectacular clumps of flowers. Dogwoods has big, beautiful white flowers that they're native. Incense cedar, if you're going to be putting some kind of conifer in your yard. In my yard, I've got a California bay laurel tree, which is a big, lush green tree. Well, mine isn't yet. It's only about 7 feet high, but that the leaves of that tree are actually like bay leaves, like you can use in cooking, and they're very fragrant and very cool. California coffee berry, and there's all types of wild roses that grow in California. If you want to look for smaller flower types things, well, you can't beat California poppies.
Exactly. We had the big super bloom just a few years ago, and everyone was going crazy over them. And those are natural flowers that naturally grow here in California. And I love what you mentioned about that is the biggest misconception. People think, California native plants are ugly or not very nice to look at. You just named off a bunch of great plants that are naturally found here in California. And on top of that, too, they are more drought tolerant, so you don't have to be watering as often. And being drought tolerant also means less stagnant water for mosquitoes to potentially find, and creating, like you mentioned, that habitat in our own yards. A lot of these plants that are not native to California are tropical plants like bromeliads, and they need more humid environments. They naturally hold water. So those are all perfect for inducing mosquitoes into our yard. So if we attract more of a California native plants to our yard, it also means less mosquitoes. And I personally think, yeah, I completely agree. It is a much nicer view and less maintenance, and I'm happy with that.
Absolutely.
And that leads me to my last question. Once again, I'm here live with Shasta County from Northern California. I'm speaking with John, and we're talking about mosquito sources and eliminating stagnant water around our yards. And so my last question is a fun question for you, John. So if you were a mosquito, like if you were Ada, and you have Missy with you as well, if you were a mosquito, what would your name be?
Well, it's kind of a toss-up for me between two names. I kind of like Morgan Freeburn and also Bitey McBiteface.
Those are perfect. I love those two names. Those are awesome names. Well, John, thank you so much for doing this live with us and for having Missy there. Hopefully you'll be able to shoo her away a little bit or not cause so much havoc as Ada has for me here this morning. But thank you so much for doing this live with us. Before I let you go, do you have any final words that you want to share with our viewers for California Mosquito Week or Earth Day today?
Nothing in particular. I do feel honored that you chose to talk to me on Earth Day. We've done a lot of things to mess up the earth, and that the invasive species, like the invasive mosquitoes that we have, are an indication of that. And so we need to take better care of the earth, and that'll make us all healthier and happier.
Definitely. I 100% agree with that, John. Again, thank you so much for joining us for Mosquito Bites Live. Once again, my name is Pablo, and this is our last episode for California Mosquito Awareness Week. Once again, I want to thank all our guests that we've had for Mosquito Bites Live. Pasco County that joined us from Florida, Levy's son, aka the Mosquito Guy, who joined us on Wednesday, who was in the same facility as me. And we had John here today from Shasta County, joining us all the way from Northern California as well. So again, thank you so much for everyone who tuned in and watched. And I'm signing off for Mosquito Bites Live. Until next time, we'll hopefully see you, and hopefully I'll be able to shoo Ada away. And it was great meeting you, Missy, as well. So again, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
See you, Missy.